Hi, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I'm joined by Lucinda White of Pure Awards, an award writer for almost 20 years. And today we're going to be talking all about her journey into the awards industry. And also, she's going to be talking through some great tips on why you should use an award writer to do your award entry. So, welcome, Lucinda.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation today.
And where are you actually based? Because you're based up north somewhere, aren't you?
We are, yeah. So we're up in Chesterfield, in Derbyshire.
Oh,
So where
that's
the
a nice
Crooked
part of the
Spire
country.
is, the only Crooked Spire. So yeah,
Fantastic.
just down the road.
So 20 years in the in the awards industry now. So let's talk about what took you down this path because award writing is quite a niche industry. So talk me through what took you down there.
Yeah, so my background before that was fundraising and events. So
Mhm.
I was doing a lot of bid writing and marketing, literature, that sort of thing, promoting the charities that I was working with, and helping them get that recognition through the grant writing and that sort of thing. So then we started putting the charities into the local business awards. At the time, I thought, oh, actually, I really like this. And then they're winning as well. And I thought, actually, this is a really nice way of additionally getting recognition in that, captive audience there, getting that profile for them. I thought, actually, that's really important for businesses and for charities, particularly who I was working with at the time, to get the extra donors, corporate supporters, that sort of thing. So really felt, this is a nice thing to do. It's quite similar to the grant writing, which is why we still do that as part of the business as well.
Mm.
But that, it's kind of a technical type of writing that you've got to do because it's word count specific, and you've got to make sure that you're answering the question, and you're doing your GCSE English, read the question, read it again, and then really understand what those keywords are and pull that information out. So it's really similar. So it's sort of evolved really from that background of doing the charity work and things, which is, yeah. So then kind of just became a little bit more of the awards lady, I suppose, really in Sheffield and in the networks I was around. And anybody who needed awards, they were like, oh, you need to speak to Lucinda. Because really nobody else was doing it quite as much as they do now, definitely. Obviously PR agencies and copywriters and so they were doing it, but I think most of PR agencies and copywriters will say that they don't really enjoy doing it. So
Oh,
they kind of much prefer doing the work that they do in that sort of area. But the awards are kind of that we need to do it. Really don't like doing it because they take quite a lot of time, and we've got to be quite specific and get all the evidence and all of that together and things as well. So but yeah, it's sort of evolved really from that side of things with the charity stuff. So
wow. You're clearly very good at it. Um, One of the things that people say when I run the launch event of the Best Business Women Awards is, isn't getting someone else to write your entry cheating? What's your view on that?
well, I think it's just been a bit strategic, actually. One with your time and one with your resources as well. So, everybody is so busy, particularly after COVID. It just seems to be about a million miles an hour. We've all got these things that we've got to get done. And lots of, yes, the business owner or the person who's writing that award and wants to put it in, they may have the skills, they may have some time to do it, but actually, is it the best use of their time and their skills? And often they need to be doing the more strategic stuff within their business to help grow it and develop it and push forward. So actually using somebody externally who can have that different perspective, understand what the judges are actually looking for, and be able to really ask the right questions and pull out that information that's needed. It gives that different take on it, I suppose, really. And actually writing an award for yourself, as you probably know, writing your own awards, it's really hard to write and go, I'm great at what I do, because we're all very British and we don't really like saying that we're fantastic and that we're the best at what we do. But, often the companies that we work with, they really are fantastic and the best at what they do, but they just struggle to put that down on paper. So that's where we can obviously come in. We can do all that interview. We can find those nuggets of what they consider just day to day. This is just what we do. And actually we can go, that's not just this is just what we do, because actually that's really exciting, really different. And we don't come across that very often when we're writing about businesses. So let's draw on that. Let's pull that information out and expand on that and put that forward as an evidence, or a case study, or a reason for them the judges to sort of pick it up. So I think there's a definite element of, that knowledge. Yes, it's in their brains, but we need to extract it from them. And we can do that, and really put it into that award entry that's really going to make sense for the judges, which is very important. And the time element to it, we don't always have 12 hours to be pulling it all together, writing it, editing it, proofreading it, getting the supporting material together, getting it set up on the login system online, and all of that, which is basically what we can do for them. So, it makes their life easier by using somebody like us. And it isn't cheating, because it's just actually being effective, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, using somebody else. But the more we become part of their business and build that relationship with them, then, the better the results will come, because we understand what they're about. We've kind of ingrained in their business. We get what they're doing, their foundation, mission, vision, all that kind of stuff. So, we can talk about all of that fun stuff, and they just go, wow, we really like this. I'm like, yeah, you'll really like this. And they're often really surprised that they're so good because they wouldn't be able to put it down in the way that we've been able to do. So, yeah.
Yes, because one of the things I say is that, writing is not always a skill that everybody has,
Yeah.
and you need to focus on what you're good at and outsource the stuff that potentially you're not. And so
Yeah.
therefore, if you're listening to this episode and you've entered a number of awards and you haven't been shortlisted or you haven't won, then working with somebody like you, Lucinda, will give them the opportunity to do that revision about
Yeah.
where they are with their entries.
Yeah.
And, in my experience, it's normally because they've missed out key information, which is exactly what you've just said.
Yeah.
You have that eye for detail. So the process presumably then starts with an interview with somebody, and you deep dive into their business and
Yes.
to what they've actually achieved.
Yeah.
So you're then
Oh,
writing from a place of
yeah.
that in-depth knowledge.
And we're very specific in making sure that we're asking the questions that are the criteria questions for
Yeah.
the category as well. So, we can do the general interviews and things, but actually when we're doing that very specific one, we're doing, have we got the evidence for this? Have we got the information for this? Because this is everything that we need to put in here. And we go through it, we're almost with a fine tooth comb, just making sure that we've got covered it all. And then trying to put that into the word count specifics and things as well is always fun task.
You help clients select the categories that they want to enter and the awards themselves. You do both of those things.
Yeah, we
There's
do.
so
So
many around.
I know this is it. So we do what's called a strategic award planner, which is a 12-month plan, which basically is chronological order by deadline date, and it can have sort of 20, 25 different awards in that, relevant to them at their business at that moment in time. So it'll cover local, regional, national, industry specific, and it'll just be the full scope of everything in there, everything from if there's entry fees, what the deadline is, where the dinner is, when it is, how much the tickets are, who the shortlisted previous winners are, all the category information. So that's all pulled together. And I think one of the last ones we did was about 110 pages. So I mean,
Oh my goodness.
substantial documents, nice PDF documents that come through. Then we sit down, go through that with them, decide what the hit list is in effect for the next 12 months and then beyond as well, so that we're not just sort of a 1-year wonder kind of thing. We just work with them year by year to help them, maximize the opportunities that the awards can bring. And then that goes into a nice spreadsheet, and then we tick it off as we go along. And so that then really focuses where the commonalities are, I suppose, with the category questions and the category content, because we can do one about, say, customer service of the year, another business person of the year, two very different entries, but they can maybe repurposed a couple of different times across the year in different awards. So it just helps to map it out and plan it out properly, really, so that it's not lastminute.com. You know, as you know, I am guilty of that. Don't say that I'm not. You know, we all are, I think. You know, and I can't always blame the clients for that, because it is just a capacity thing and a workload thing. But you know, realistically, the plan is there to help us map things out, and for them to see if they've got an awards event on a Wednesday in Nottingham and then an awards event in London on the Thursday. You know, well, can I do that? Is that feasible? Is it, you know, is that a really busy time in their business? Should we really be entering these? Because actually we've all got holidays booked at that point, so we're not even going to be here, you know. And it's really important to be present at the event, to
That was what I
maximize
was
that
going to ask you.
networking.
Yeah.
Oh
What's
my
your
goodness,
thoughts on
yeah.
people not going to ceremonies who have,
I
you
think
know,
it's
been
really,
shortlisted?
I think it's bad practice, actually, not to go. I think, you know, to go through the whole process of going in for the entry and spending that time, energy, money to
Yeah.
do all of that, then to be recognised and have that, you know, that celebration of that shortlist coming out and announce it and all of that, to then not be part of the event itself, it feels like it's not great for the organisers, as you know. You know, you're like, well, what's the point in entering if you're not even going to come along and celebrate with yourself and others? And I do think that it is important, because that's actually a real fantastic opportunity to come and meet so many other businesses, like-minded businesses, who are all there to try and support and celebrate each other as well. And I think, you know, the networking, if you're strategic, again, that word strategic networking on the night, you know, you can get quite a lot of opportunities from that for collaboration, new business, all sorts of things. So,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
The number of
missed
times.
opportunity if they don't go.
Exactly. And I wrote a post on LinkedIn about ghosting the award organizer. What do you think about finalists that don't respond when they're told that they're, you know, they've won an award?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take anything to make a response, does it? You know, and just go, wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. You know, I might be struggling to get to the event, but I will keep in touch. You know, it takes literally 2 minutes, you know, to write something like that. I don't think in this day and age, we shouldn't, any of us, be ghosting anybody, really, should we? Because we're all here to try and grow and develop and be successful in our own right. And I think it's only, you know, it's just manners, isn't it, really, to respond?
It
And I
is.
think probably people are listening to this going, yeah, she's not replied to me for ages. And I'm like, I'm so sorry if that's happened. I'm really, really sorry. I do hold my hands up that if I've ever done that to anybody, I do apologize. But yeah, I will never do it from now on. So
So I know you were selected for the F Entrepreneur
yeah,
this year, which is amazing because
I'm
I've
so
been,
excited about that.
yeah, and
I
it's a
did cry when
fabulous
I got the
community.
response.
Did you?
Yeah, I was sat there. I
Oh,
was
I'm
like,
so pleased because it's such a lovely community to be part of.
yes,
And I've been part of it since it started in 2019.
yeah.
And it's grown now. And, you know,
Yeah. Well, I've
it's,
had winners on the list every year. So I'm hoping that this next year will be the same. I'm putting 2 people in for that, so we'll see.
oh, that's amazing. So my question really then was, I mean, F Entrepreneur is like a sort of listing of 100 women that
Yeah.
every year do something else outside of their business. It's called the I Also campaign. So it's technically not an award, but it's great to be recognized.
Mhm.
So have you done any awards yourself as a company? Have you ever thought about doing that?
Not really, no. Well, yes and no, in that I always think, yes, I'd love to enter these. And then I'll go, oh, but I'm busy entering all my other clients into
Yeah.
all of these ones as well. And then I think, but what if I don't win? You know, an award writer that doesn't win. Ooh, that doesn't look very good, does it? So I kind of think, well, maybe we'll not do it this year. So yeah, I sort of, that one particularly, I just felt it was the right time for me
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
business, with the things that had gone on in the, you know, the previous year and stuff, and the growth and everything. So I just felt that was the right one. And I'd actually, on a vision board, I'd got on female entrepreneur. I'd cut it out and put it on there as on my vision board, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's come true. So that was a big one for me. But other ones, I think we'll see how this next year goes, because this time next year we could be in a very different place again, which is very exciting. So there's lots of great stuff happening. So I think, yeah, it's never a no, it's just a time.
Yeah.
So I need somebody else to do it for me, actually. That's what I need.
Maybe I'll volunteer.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to see you recognised, because you really are a light in the awards industry, a real shining light in the awards industry.
Thank
Um,
you.
let's talk about how people can decide which awards they should enter. Is there some tips that you could share today for people who've never entered awards before because they really don't know where to start? What would you
Yeah.
advise them to do?
So I think first of all, it's probably worth looking at who their audience is. You know,
Mm,
where are where's the sales and their business coming from? Because if that's local, then it probably isn't relevant for them to go for the big national ones at that point in time. Just focus starting off with your local and your regional awards, because those are the ones that are going to really, you know, have that impact with a local regional audience. So that would be kind of a location specific. Another would be, you know, just looking back at the last 12 months in the business and seeing what have been your key achievements, what have been the biggest things that have been the game changes in your business, and you know, what's the impact of that, what's resulted from that, has it had, you know, new teams, new locations, new sites, you know, has growth gone 100%, you know, like profit, all of that stuff, that would be measured, like what's the impact of those achievements, and then we can kind of tie that into, okay, well, that's a great category here that actually speaks to who you are as a person, who you are as a business, what your ethos and values are, but also is going to resonate with a potential new you know, opportunity with new sales and new prospects and things as well. I think there's some out there that you think, no, you just don't see. I don't necessarily like the ones that don't have the dinners and the events associated with them, because I think that's missing out on an opportunity for the business to network and connect with other businesses. But choosing the right ones, yeah, I think it's all down to what's the story,
mm,
what's in your story, and what's the key things that you really want to be proud of and to really shout about. And it might be people, it might be product, it might be service, whatever. There will be something that fits with you, and then it's looking, you know, okay, are we local, regional, national? Are we just wanting to work with women, in which case we want to go for the Best Business Women Awards, we want to go for all those female led awards and things. So, you know, it's looking at your audience, your location, your stories, fitting that all together, and then thinking, right, that's the right one for me.
mm,
And
mm,
if it's just industry that you need to be in front of, then, you know, just focus on those. You know, if it's just one key theme or one key specific that you just want to work with pharmaceutical companies, or you just
mm.
want to work in, you know, this particular industry, I need to get in those awards somehow, and find the category that works for them. And often the categories that are a little bit unusual, probably I would say, tend to be less entered, you know, in terms of numbers of entries. So you've got a little bit more chance. So,
Mm,
you know, it used to be that sustainability was the one that people didn't enter as much. Now I think it's quite a
mm,
hot one, isn't it, for everybody? So
yeah.
the things are changing really. But yeah, looking at the ones that are possibly slightly different, but as long as it fits, as long as you've got the story to fit it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a good point. I mean, our most popular category is the most inspiring businesswoman.
Yes,
Every year
of course,
we get
yeah,
hundreds of
yeah,
entries for that one category.
yeah.
Um,
Such
yeah,
decision making,
it
isn't it,
is.
as
But
well? It's hard.
it's subjective. I actually
Yeah.
think it's very subjective. So I always have three judges on that. One that's very, very analytical, and I
Mm.
have two what I would call heart-led judges on that category.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think it's very subjective. Do you find that with some of the entries that you write that you think, oh, that person's bound to be selected, but then they don't end up being selected, and you're a bit like, oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, and I think some of that, you know, you have to then re-look at it and go,
Mm,
okay, was it our mistake for actually choosing that? Was that quite the right category? And actually, let's learn from that and change
mm,
things for the future. Because, you know, sometimes you think, well, we're sort of going to fit in that. We'll give it a go, because actually we just need to get the feedback and get the
mm,
response from things as well.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think, there's somewhere I've just been really disappointed and think, oh, damn it. And then others I think, yes, I'm so excited about this one. I'm so proud because they totally deserve it and it's overwhelmed them. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about the awards. It's that it's just got them and they are just like over the moon with it and they just can't wait to, and a lot of say, even if we didn't win, it's great to be shortlisted. It's great to be in there and it's great to be part of this and have that recognition. And I think, yeah, we want to get winners, but we also want to get them on that first rung of the ladder as well, and get them on that shortlist, because you can do so much with that shortlist. You've got loads of time to promote that shortlist. When you get to the dinner itself, it's sort of over quite quickly if you're not careful, unless you do what you do with all your kind of your winners stuff and all the extra things that you do afterwards. But some of them, they're just like, they've done. You get a bit of newspaper and it's finished. Whereas the shortlist, you can just keep pushing that out. And, some people often think that they've won anyway, the amount of times that they're telling them, that they've been finalist in here and, with success with these awards, even if they haven't won. So it's all about the spin.
It is, but it's also, I mean, we bought the silver award in a few years ago so that if people are shortlisted for our awards, they win an award. They get either a silver or a gold, because I felt that, do you know what, this thing with the awards industry, like you just said earlier, about the masses of people that get shortlisted and things, and actually recognizing the quality of those people because they have been selected.
Yes.
Therefore, they should be recognized. I was at an awards with a client last week, and there was no recognition for the finalists at all, apart from a certificate in a Hessian bag.
Yeah.
And I just feel that's disappointing because it doesn't actually take that long to get the finalists or the silver winners or whatever up on stage as well for their moment.
Yeah.
And I think if there's any award organisers listening to this today, we need to shape up the industry a bit more and give recognition to people who are selected. If you have a proper selection process, then people should be recognised.
And I think it's really important to understand how many people entered in total, because actually, if you're in the top 3 of, 40 companies that have gone in, that's a huge achievement to be in that top 3, because it's really, really competitive. And I had a winner in the UK Business Tech Awards last year, and we found out that there was something like 900 and something companies that had entered, and they won the SaaS Company of the Year, and it was like incredible, and they were fantastic, over the moon. And then when they found out exactly how many companies had entered the whole awards, they were just like blown away. So for them, so I think having that knowledge to go back with and promote, even when they haven't won, but we're still in the top 2%, we're still in the top 5%, 10% of the people who entered, of the creme de la creme, in these particular awards. So that's just as important for them, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think of voting contests?
Not hugely keen.
No, me neither.
No, I don't. I tend to avoid them in terms of promoting them to clients quite so much, to be honest, just because it's a massive process that they'd have to do to then get people to vote for them and sign up to that. And, and people just don't do it. They say, even though it takes literally 10 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever to click that button, put the details in, they just don't do it. And I think you can be in danger of it just being who's got the most friends, who's got the most IP addresses.
Then, isn't it?
Yeah. And actually that's really unfair, because that's not then about the value and the content that's being put forward. And I think the ones that are only a couple of 100 words or 500 words is not enough, to explain the amazing stuff that some of these companies and individuals are achieving in 500 words. You're like, so I would advocate for it being at least 1,000 words on an entry, just to give you some scope to be able to explain things properly.
That's interesting, because we get people who complain about our entry because it is quite lengthy. And I know it is.
It is, yeah.
But the method behind my madness with that, and I set the awards up 10 years ago now, it was to to really stretch people so that they had got a really strong, robust entry that, like you were saying earlier, could be repurposed for other awards.
Yeah.
Um, but you know what? To me, you got to make a bit of an effort. You know,
Exactly.
that
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I remember being a judge, and we had some entries, and I think it was about 600 words, something like that, and there was 62 words for the response. And I used that because I do award writing workshops and things. So I do webinars, but I also used to do in-person ones pre-COVID.
mm,
And so I'd get people to pretend to like be a guest judge, you know, and I'd get these printouts, not put any names or details and things in it, black those out, and say, right, which was the winning entry? And you could see, and I was like, this one, absolutely not even close, because if you can't even find more than, you know, I say be 10% within the word count limit,
mm,
ideally. For me, that's my sort of benchmark.
mm,
If you can't find 400 words out to write out of a 500 word maximum word count for your business that you've set up, that you're part of, that you love and you're driving forward, then maybe one, you're not the right person to write it, or two, you just haven't got enough there
mm,
to give
mm,
the right information for. So I think, yeah, having more, yeah, it's time consuming, it's effort,
mm.
but you know, the rewards can come from it, you know, and it's got to be part of the, I think that's the different mindset, isn't it, for the people who enter just on back of a fag packet type thing, or actually part of a bigger strategy of what they want to achieve for the business. So
We call them as well the 5 to 5s. So we get entries coming in at 5 to 5 that clearly people have just written as they've typed it and just
yeah,
whacked it on. We're
straight
like,
onto the system as well, and
yeah.
not actually onto some Word document first to copy and paste.
Funniest one was literally every question had see my website and a link to a different page on their website.
Oh no, not allowed,
You
not
had one
allowed,
of those.
because judges are just not going to do that, are they? They're just not
No,
going to spend that time
no,
flicking about. They've got,
no.
well, like you said, you know, if you're judging 167 entries,
For the
why
Stevies, yeah.
you've got to make that entry relevant to the judges and make it easy for them to read, so it jumps off the page, it's got the bullet
Mm.
points, it's got the bits that's not just a big block of text that looks boring, and you know, they're just going to go, oh my goodness, not another chunk of huge text that doesn't make any sense and the grammar's really bad, and oh no.
Or when people use their training manual or something as evidence and it's like 500 pages long, or their the stuff that we get, you just, well, you probably wouldn't believe it actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So 20 years, long time to be in business. You must have some little nuggets about running your own business, just generally, not
Yeah.
necessarily related to awards, that you can share with our listeners.
Yeah, so I think one is just keep going, because you know,
Good one.
it's a hard slog out there, you know, but actually just always, I think for me it's about keeping focused on what I want and what I want to achieve, and you know, just making sure that each year or each month we're doing a little bit better than we did the previous year or the previous month. It doesn't have to be this huge big growth plan necessarily. I mean, mine had to be around the kids, you know, so I had to do 9 till 3 and then do whatever hours when they'd gone to sleep again. So now they're 16 and 14, so it's a bit different. I don't have to do those sorts of hours. I can do much longer hours now. Yay. But you know, I think it's just doing things that fit with you and not comparing yourself to
Mm,
anybody else, because that comparison is just the biggest killer. Because it just, and I've spent years doing that and thinking, oh, you know, I'm not as good as them and I'm not as good as them. And it's like, oh my goodness, you know, actually look at it, Lucy, and look at what you have done for other businesses, for myself, for my family, you know, and actually, yeah, we've achieved a huge amount. You know, it isn't millions yet, but you know, the plan could be there. It is there, but you know, it's taken a long time to get to there. And
mm,
so I think, yeah, just keep going, keep focused, just don't beat yourself up all the time. Stop stressing about the things that you cannot control, and just, you know, build that reputation. and keep and maintain that like it's the dearest thing in your life, because if your reputation's gone, then your business is gone, and people won't trust you. And you've got to build that rapport and that trust and that relationship with people, suppliers and clients on both sides. Just you just be honest. So there's loads of things when you think about it. But it's part of that. Yeah, it's just being true to you, true to what your values are, what you believe in. Being a nice person.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
being a nice
integrity in
human
business
being.
is everything, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
We were talking before we came onto the podcast today about people who are rude, when you speak to them on the phone. And,
mm,
if you've entered an award, the last thing you want to do is be rude to the award organizer.
my
Who
goodness.
does that? Or their team. Um,
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy. So
yes,
yeah, and I said to you, didn't I, when we were chatting, being polite costs nothing, being
yeah,
kind costs nothing. And yeah, we're all exposed to some strange people sometimes. So
yeah. And life throws curveballs all the
yeah.
time for us to deal with. And loads of stuff goes on in personal lives and in business lives and everything. But that's not the excuse to just be an
Mm,
unpleasant person to somebody else just because of that.
mm.
And I think if that's how it is, well, you sort of wonder how they continue in business if people are like that, don't you?
It's
Yeah.
always a shock to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, so thank you so much for sharing all your advice. If you are listening to this episode today, we will share Lucinda's details in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, we will also put all of her details in the description. So if you feel you're a bit snowed under with your own work, but awards are on your radar and they are something that you want to put into your marketing strategy, then get in touch with Lucinda and she can help you build an award strategy and write the entries for you, or review entries that you may have done and you're just not quite sure where you're going wrong. As one
yeah.
woman said to me the other day, why am I always the bridesmaid and never the bride?
Oh, yes.
I thought that was
Yeah.
a lovely way of putting it. She said, I go to all
Yeah.
these awards and I'm always a finalist, but I never walk away with the trophy. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you just need an extra pair of eyes
Yeah.
onto your entry, and that's something Lucinda can help you with. So thanks for
Absolutely.
joining me today, Lucinda, and I wish you continued success with your business.
Thank you. And with your awards and your
Thank
business
you.
too. Good luck with all of yours.
Thank you.
Thanks.